the oppositions, we would like to argue that war has always been a viable means for any countries to be executed as their foreign policy tools when the cause of the war is just. This is what we would like to argue, that the war for democracy is a just war that should be able to be executed by countries. And second substantive case that we also would like to argue to you on how sovereignty needs to be deconstructed when it's being misused by oppressive government, and we are the one and countries who have democratic values are the one who should be the agents of returning this real meaning of sovereignty itself. Now, before actually arguing on my constructive, on my substantive, I basically have two major points of rebuttal towards the whole opposition governments being case. Sorry. When Mr. Christian is actually saying that the idea of persistence, when the opening government says that the idea of persistency will always be there, they will always at the end of the day hamper the democratic impositions itself, we say that actually gradual changes will be there after impositions is being done. We say that actually military strategy, when the United States is coming into Iraq, is already being complemented with exit strategies, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to just ruin Iraq and take away Saddam Hussein, but not actually building their own government. We think that these kind of society constructions is embedded inside the military strategy that the United States or other kinds of unilateral imposition for democracy is doing. We see the case of Germany in post-World War II. We were imposing Germany with democratic governance with American impositions. We think that the case of Japan also after World War II, it was also military intervention, ladies and gentlemen. They have, people in Germany did not ask for this, but we see people in Japan and Germany live happily ever after right now. On the idea that sovereignty needs to be apprehended, ladies and gentlemen. What Mr. Christian is defending is when we are doing invasions, then we are harming sovereignty, and we always seclude these nations at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we say that actually seclusions would not be happening because we believe on the effective measures of intervention itself, because we think that at the end of the day, the future government would be the democratic government in itself. And last but not least, I will also try to embed their argument on sovereignty itself on my substantive cases on how sovereignty needs to be deconstructed. This is, ladies and gentlemen, what oppressive government is doing for their citizens. They are, we say that actually sovereignty is being misused by the oppressive government, to not listen to the society. We think that actually the idea of sovereignty is a historical imposition by the Westphalian Treaty that actually put an illusion of definitions towards the society. Just because Cuba, just because Iran has a sovereignty, thus all values of their all the values should be respected. We say no, ladies and gentlemen. The real meaning of sovereignty is when government or when society is relieving certain parts of their rights and trusting to the government. So we say that actually this government in itself should be at the hand of the society, and this would not be presented by a oppressive government. This only be presented by democratic system, and this is why we would like to return the real definitions of sovereignty itself, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want our society. We don't want our society to just being oppressed by the government by the name of sovereignty. On the other hand, we would like to return it to the hands of the people by imposing democracy itself. Now, on the idea and the last clarifications, when the whole opposition's case, government case, is actually magnifying the idea of the cost of war, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that we agree on the case of opening that yes, there are the price that we are willing to take, but second of all, we're going to tell you that the military strategy and the military strategy would always minimize the cost of the war itself. Now, going on to my substantive on the cost of just war. Before that subject.
The United States tried to minimize casualties in Iraq. They don't uphold the Geneva Convention. Yet the amount of casualties is still enormous.
Thank you. We're saying that actually prolonged and perpetualizations of oppressive government cost more lives. It costs